Hi folks, it's Richard Joe back again, certified CXL optimizer, and today I'm going to be discussing about frequentist versus Bayesian statistics. Frequentist versus Bayesian statistics. Which one is better for doing conversion rate optimization? And you've got arguments for both statistical methods, and you can be in the frequentist camp, which is where I traditionally lie, and that's just my bias. A lot of tools out there will rely on the frequentist method, which is namely Optimizely. If you're on the Bayesian sort of side of things, then you're typically sort of side with VWO. Anyway, so yeah, there's pros and cons of every tool. Now, the frequentist method is basically your traditional A/B testing method, and it arises from science. And from my research, it arose during the 17th and 18th centuries. This is a period of the Enlightenment, and the scientific method was coming into play there. And it's got origins or interactions and in that area, origins in that area, and also medical fields and those sort of things. So the thing with the frequentist method is that it's using certain variables like p-values, z-scores, and it relies on having a preset sample size in advance before you run the test. So you've got to know your fixed sample size before you run the test and run it for a certain period of time and those sort of things. So the disadvantage of it is that it's actually quite complex. There's a lot of things, like I said, like p-values, z-scores, confidence intervals, all those sort of things. And it's quite hard to understand these things as a CRO to begin with, and let alone not just that, it's also hard to explain it to stakeholders. So if you can't understand it, then it's going to be pretty hard to explain it to your stakeholders and clients or whoever you're working with. The other thing is that you can't check your results early, because that would result in the peaking effect, and go into that. And yeah, so it's just one of those things. The other thing is the Bayesian statistics framework is good in terms of telling you the probability of the variant beating the control, and it's also a lot easier to explain to external stakeholders. Thanks.